To those that don't get it, this one's going to be a little bit different. I probably won't have to say this again. I might not even put this one out, but got a lot in here. It's not important. It's not important. But I'm going to attempt to provide a little bit of brevity and clarity to those that don't get it. To those that think that they know how the world works and they still are fully entrenched in society. To those that still watch TV and watch, you know, the standard programming events. To those who operate their financial management or insurance jobs or businesses or their brokerages or work in the hospital, you know, whatever it is, you're not right. And the other side is you may be able to find some flaws in some of their logic, but what's going on is that those individuals are going through a process of releasing fear. And when you release fear, shit gets real slippery. And so they are finding the mechanism within themselves and they're searching within themselves and they don't know how. So eventually they will get to the place of securing their own validity of comprehending how to learn and discern, because society didn't really teach us that, even though you think it did. And so what you have done is work on things in your life that have worked out for you, whether that's because it's by the nature of the rocks that were thrown when you were born, you came in here, or more likely it's part of the belief structure that you came up with and you've held on to that belief structure because it's serving you. They are the ones that are going down a road that I've gone down. So finding yourself, seeing the holes in everything and what would be considered conspiracy, to really questioning the existence of all existence and then attempting to put it back together, like how does life work? And there's this big gap and it's almost like frustrating between old friends thinking that one side's obviously right because, well, look around, look at my house, look at my job, I'm right. The book that I learned in school says I'm right, so I'm right. And the other side saying, no, I've learned different things and you're not open to it yet. And so the standard version, which we'll say is like the doctor or the banker, says to this other friend, like, dude, you're losing it. And the friend's like, no, everything you know is wrong. And so the standard banker friend will say, well, here's a 1 point or 2 points that's wrong with what you just said. And the individual that's attempting to learn and grow has so much more information, but they can't present it all because they know that their banker friend isn't interested in hearing it all, so it just will fall flat. So they'll go back and attempt to find the right information to then re-present with their friend. That will never ever come to fruition for anybody to meet in the middle there ever. The reason is because the one who's attempting to grow and is confused right now and may have some things wrong or may see some things that are questionable and they'll probably grow past. That individual is going through the process of releasing their internal fear. And the banker friend, which you could just say is basically everybody who's who's secretly unhappy but attached to society, so going through the being a cog in the wheel of the machine. They are not yet able to comprehend that they live in a system of fear. And so they cannot yet comprehend that they are living in fear. And the fear that they have internally is what keeps them from being able to perceive the issues that their friend is presenting. Because their friend is presenting issues that are beyond the belief structure of the banker friend. So they literally cannot perceive it. And they also are not yet at the place in their life or lifetime or whatever in which they can perceive their own fear. So there's a polarity of love and fear. And they are primarily operating within a reactionary mechanism as a tool within a larger mechanism, which is self-serving, and they have completely surrendered themselves to this tool mechanism of society in which they are rewarded for it, so they cannot comprehend that it's all what will be considered fear, because you have to be strong enough to be able to stand and accept the fear. Basically, all of these individuals would come to a place of telling themselves it's okay to tell on somebody else because somebody else broke the rules of society, or make a deal with whoever the oppressor would be if they were facing 10 years in prison. Like they all would, because not because it's a reflection of them, but because it's a reflection of the program that they've accepted of self-serving the system by being within the system. At some point, they chose internally, unconsciously, not consciously, to say, I'm going system route. So they are fully in on the system, and they cannot proceed past the system because they have dedicated themselves to it. It's more than just one of the hardest things to do in life is convince a man or woman of a truth in which their occupation depends on believing the lie. It's more than that. It's that we are in a time between times and the ages are turning, which they always are, but there's a great shift that has been occurring for a while, and it will eventually raise, and then more than likely one of these systems will pull and become stagnant from where it is, stay, and the other will separate. But right now it's just kind of like this. It's actually just one, and it's kind of going like this. There's a lot of friction inside of it. And so the ones in the system can easily see manipulation on the other side of what their team is. If they like the Wisconsin Badgers, they can easily say like, yeah, Ohio State sucks. Or if they like the Democratic Party, they can say, well, yeah, you know, Russia's terrible, or Trump is terrible, or whatever the news is saying now, you know. But they cannot see anything. It literally like will bounce right off of them. They cannot see anything that will break their paradigm. The reason is because they are more fragile. They are not prepared to work through the process of standing on their own. It's just it's bare minimum comes down to they require safety and leadership, and that's it. And they get scared inside, and they don't know it feels like fear, but they get scared inside and then angry and want to point at and threaten others who they feel like is going to upset the boat of their principles, of what has been told to them, what they have accepted, what they're holding on to, which is society and the rules of society, because Not because it supports them, because they don't realize that, but because they think and feel that they are doing the right thing and everyone else is not pulling their weight. They cannot see what you see. If you lead that horse to water, you will waste your entire life getting upset and watching the pond dry up, and they will never take a fucking sip. And they will stand there while you're swimming in the pond. They will stand there and just look at sand and say, "My friend is has lost it." They can't see it. These are the folks that are easiest to trick with sleight of hand magic. There's no way that they can comprehend that the whole world is magic and that this place is not as real as they thought, because everyone has to go through that. What happens is the individual that's not on the banker friend side, but is on the side of pursuing truth in a very elusive and confusing manner, which many have done. When that individual embarks on this odd and unplanned journey, they are working through the hero's journey, because we are story. We are divine limitless spirit as energy, and as energy, we relate to ourselves by the story of ourselves. And in this hero's journey of ourselves, we have great trials. And in these trials, if you just look at any story anywhere, Beowulf, like it's always that the individual must be tested, and they must be tested alone. Always. Everybody can go with you until the end, and then you must go sit by that tree by yourself, because they can't go inside you and tell you what to do to take over yourself. They can tell you how they did it. They can give you some pointers. They can sit with you while you do it, but it's you that has to do it, and it's just you and you. And the banker side, there's nothing wrong with them. They're just not ready. They have chosen what they can handle. And in this lifetime, up to this point, they can handle responsibility and doing the right thing and having rules and structure to live by, so that everyone around them, that's the key, so everyone around them is controlled as well. It's mob mentality, and mob mentality is purely the collective unconscious. Collective unconscious is not good or bad. It is changing, as everything is. But these individuals that are on the banking side, this majority of, I mean, you can put somebody that's like an artist in San Francisco, or a teenage kid in Taiwan, whatever. If they are fully engrossed in society, they're a representation of the banking friend, right? And if there's somebody who has tried or hasn't tried, or just in general sees through things that they can't tell anybody else, and is interested in pursuing wisdom, and is on this weird path, and is just kind of struggling because internally they're alone, because internally they know they can't share everything with everyone else. That's the hero's journey. That's part of what you came here for. And it won't always be like that. But it's very special and very important that it's like that for you now, because that provides great energy to the collective unconscious being able to possibly raise or possibly create an awareness in which which the banker friends will absorb that awareness, and all of a sudden they will just be able to see things because it will become an accepted point in the collective unconscious. So everybody would just kind of receive that information, and they'll act like, yeah, no big deal. But 2 years ago, 10 years ago, right now, you could say the same things to them, and they will, you know, not comprehend it at all, and look at you like there's something wrong with you. So this is something that can really, really, really make some people mad. There's been times in my life, one of those times was like an hour ago, but there's been times in my life where I was a bit frustrated, and I could, it's almost as if I want to offer to the world, this is what you're doing wrong. Barely man, barely living. I'm not impressed. And go down the line saying, you know, you think you know shit, you don't know shit. All the way through. But that's an easy thing to say in the head for a second. When someone really, really, really wants to know, eventually they will get to the place that it's their responsibility. And I'm not talking about the banker friend anymore. I'm talking about those on the path. When it's your responsibility, my responsibility, then we have to look at what energy are we putting where? What we're paying attention to grows. So if we're paying attention to the fact that there's so many that are possibly holding society back or creating a mechanism that supports manipulation and lies to little kids, and that confuses everyone even further and further and further. And basically every tradition that we grew up with in Western society is inverted, and there were possibly great civilizations that lived with an obvious awareness and an enforcement of honor and duty and um, maybe most importantly, truth, and a shared humble appreciation for life, and the awareness that there's a creation of God, love, and that you are part of that. And that, I mean, there's more than that even. But there are many societies that have a much closer realm of acceptance and circular mind than the segmentation and frustration of the, in my opinion, where I grew up, the Western society of the United States. But I'm sure it's the same in every imperial country, and more than likely throughout the entirety of all countries that are centrally controlled, which is basically all of them. And there's much, much more to what this place is, possibly, as far as a landscape. I mean, if I was making the maps, I knew this when I was a little kid, I would never put everything on the map that I was aware of. Why would I do that? So if I had that idea as a little kid, I'm sure the people drawing the maps had that idea. It's just that we can get caught in these mysteries. We can get caught in these possibilities. We can get caught in these different perspectives of how to see the world, which creates kind of finger pointing toward those around us that they don't see it or they're not willing to at least comprehend and have the conversation about it. But here's where, again, the responsibility of self comes in. Do you really want to know? Are you really on the path to truth? Because the path to truth always just leads inside you. It never ever ends up anywhere else. It's always meandering in all these places you can look, and your perspective of mind is blown to a certain degree, but that's not really even a thing. You're like, oh, um, money's not real the way they said it was. What? And it takes you a while to comprehend that, or um, different perspectives on mythology and what are the stars, and were there giants, like just all types of stuff, right? Paranormal things. And then if you take a step back from that, all those things that really are kind of breaking your mind and changing the way you look at things, it's just practice in expanding your belief structure. That's it. You're still here. You're still you. You feel different because you look at things differently, but you're just getting better at expanding your belief structure. You're not in control of it yet. What if you can be? What if you can be in control of expanding your belief structure? What if you can be in control of everything in your life? What if everything is up to you? What if your banker friend's perspective is partially tied to the expectation of the awareness that you're letting off? Their field of energy is reflecting your belief structure. Something inside you is thinking and feeling already that they don't get it, and that you're right and you have to hold it back, and it's frustrating. Or they're stuck in their ways, or they're part of the problem. It's not something that you are consciously thinking, but it's way down deep in there that you have not realized that that's something that maybe you could address. Maybe you could stop trying to control them. Maybe you could, even if you think you're not controlling them, maybe you could just let it go and be cool. Maybe you could watch them and think, well, if they're a reflection of my energy, let me be neutral and let me be love, and let's see what they show. Maybe you can do a test on those around you instead of researching Manly P. Hall, figuring out everything about the Masons, or the 40 different ways to plant the best garden bed for the most holistic vegetables ever. And this is the best way to do it. This is the best way to do it. All those things are getting into you. They're not good or bad. They're just getting into you. And they keep you from actually fully living as the real you. Because how much of that information actually becomes something that's valuable in your life, even if you know it? Do you know it and then it turns into your wisdom, into your gnosis, and you hold it in you forever? It becomes part of you, and then you apply it to wisdom, apply it to your life, apply that gnosis to your life efficiently. The application into wisdom. Do you do that with everything, or is it more of a habit of learning things that are alternative? And then when you learn things that are alternative and your friends aren't, and they're stuck in their old ways because it's working for them because it's never occurred to them to not, is there a tiny little thing in you that judges them or that feels judged by them? You're the weird one, but you're not applying it, so they have no proof. They have no proof that you're right. Is it possible that there is no right and wrong? In my opinion, it does not benefit your life in any way in your existence here to put your energy onto your friends and family and those that would be considered opposition or enemies in society because they do not see what you see. It's actually a great detriment to your life, one of the greatest. It's such a great detriment because it puts your energy into something that will continually only pull energy away from you and make you feel worse forever. You never feel better in those scenarios. You're either covering up and not showing your real self, or you're just putting up with shit that you feel like is unfair. It's very elusive and difficult to grab onto this, but yeah, they're right. And yeah, they're wrong, both from your perspective and their perspective. And yeah, you are doing it. You're creating those relationships that fall into your life. You're creating the availability within yourself that anyone is allowed to perceive you in that way, or that they are allowed to show up in your life based on your belief structure that way. Try expanding yourself and accepting and loving, not in a way that's, I love you even though you're a drug addict, I don't care. No, no judgment. I'm saying provide the love of God, of the all, of divine mother, divine father, of the creative general principle. Provide that in a place for yourself to be able to let that flow without saying any words when you're around whoever. And watch, watch. Now let's take a different step. How do you think if you're so confident that you found more clarity and more truth, how do you think you're ever going to be able to show it to them, to anyone? Because your words are for you, your actions are for everybody else. How are you going to be able to show it to anybody? It's like, uh, I have at certain points thought that I was holding in a lot and then barely said anything in response to others. And then they just like, it seemed like they held on to that one thing and put that one thing on the wall and didn't notice all the other times that I was allowing everything to go. But I wasn't flowing with anything at the time. I was just kind of fitting in and not being fully myself and not fully embracing the environment either. That's why I say a second ago I said it's like what I mean is it's like you're saying one thing and doing another, or at least that's what I've seen in myself historically. Not as much anymore, but when we get around, say, the banker friend, we tend to want to show how great a larger perspective of existence is. And look at the enemy, they're holding us down. Look at all these tricks they played on the monetary system, or what this symbol in religion really means. It's multi-layered. What's the real meaning behind Wizard of Oz? And they're not interested in that. Well, how would you get them interested in that? If they're a projection of you, or their energy is a projection of the energy that you're allowing them to be, then you must first allow them to be interested. Here. Do you start there first? Start with the heart. Primum vultus interiorum. First look within. Everything is a projection of your energy. And everything in the natural world, in this magical realm, is mirroring. It's a feedback mechanism of what is inside you so that you can see it back. So if you feel in great separation or great frustration with one individual, with your entire family, with your group of friends that you grew up with, or with everyone at your job, or with everyone in society in general, fuck them all. They're all brainwashed, or they're all mind controlled, or nobody knows anything. That can all be true, but that's only true within you. And then when it's true within you, you're projecting that out. What you pay attention to grows. You're going to see more of that shit. And you're going to have all the dotted lines of a list a mile long of exactly why you're right, because it's right to you. And then when you're not around and somebody brings up your name, they're going to say, man, frustrated and crazy. And here's a list a mile long for why they're right. And so now they think you're frustrated and crazy. And as they are divine limitless spirit energy at a different frequency in this embodiment, but still divine limitless spirit energy, they are then projecting into the resonance of the environment in which you are in, and you are unknowingly feeding into their aura, what they see you as. You are doing it to them. Now that kind of sucks, because now we're back being the pawn. But they're not in a position to raise themselves and guide you unless they go through a more traditional route of just taking the higher road, attempting not to judge even though they think you're losing it. Just general grace, which is wonderful. That's fairly rare these days, but it still exists. However, it's much more fruitful and realistic for you as the individual on the path to take these matters of your life and your existence into your hands. Mind over matter. But before mind, start with the heart. Go into your heart. Realize you haven't gone in there and talked to these individuals, the spirit of your friend, the spirit of your family, the spirit of your work environment, whatever. The direction that society is going that's frustrating to you. Are you so sure it's going that way? Or is it just that's what you see all the time because that's what your belief structure is? And that's what you pay attention to, consciously or unconsciously. So my suggestion to wrap this up is in every relationship, in everything, no matter how frustrating it is, and no matter how much it's so clear to you that you are right and you are in the superior place honorably, and that they just don't see. and they're part of the problem or whatever, go within yourself first. First, look within. Make room for yourself to perceive how is it possible that I am projecting that energy on them. Be peaceful and honest and strong internally. Listen to what comes up. Because how it's possible, whatever's in there, the attachment to wanting to control the relationship and wanting to save them from the ropes that they're holding on to, you don't need to save them. There's nothing to save them from. There's no savior. You're already you. They're already them. Everyone is already perfect. It's impossible not to be. Watch everyone around you and how they treat you. Because in there is a great lesson of how you're allowing the world to reflect back to you based on how you are allowing yourself to be presented to the world. You think that you're one way. You think you're ready for this, but what are you actually doing and saying unconsciously? Because that's a major part of what seeps into your subconscious and is projected into this world. And that is a major part of what is resonating in your aura constantly. And then when others enter the room with you, or when others think of you, or when others are embraced with you, or when others are in conversation with you, they're showing you the piece of you that is representing them inside you. They're still them, but when they come into this environment, they are represented in your visual and aura world as them through their energy showing you back what you think of them, what you expect of them. Expect is more accurate. Your expectation of their awareness is as much as you will allow them to give you. What if you allow them to give all of themselves in the best way possible and then get out of the way and then see how amazing all of a sudden they are? Or if you stop being frustrated by the fact that they're a doctor and you don't like allopathic medicine. What if you stop being frustrated by the fact that you love them, but it seems like they think that you're a know-it-all, so you can't say anything? That's like a spinning wheel, you know. It's a cat tied to a pole on a rope. It will never ever get straightened out. It's just always all over the place, going back and forth. Because it's your feelings in conflict with your thoughts, in conflict with your best case scenario desire is to be peaceful and get along. But in reality, your base expectation is that there's conflict with their awareness. And I think that's the primary scenario with the news or with radio or with the attachment to a team. Instead, if it's on your team, then there's this little thing inside you of your team or anyone that hears it, and they tend to have an expectation of conflict with the awareness of the other, whatever the other is. And they never go back inside themselves and address that because it doesn't occur to them. So they always have this tiny little residing, yeah, but that group's the problem. And it's too much for them to think, I'm projecting that energy into that. And so I see it in my life constantly. What is your expectation of the awareness of everyone you encounter? Try not to put anything in a box. When you notice something is in a box, forgive everything. Forgive yourself. Let it go, baby. We're living as stories that we're telling to ourselves. And everyone and everything around us, no matter how frustrating, is showing us the way to become the individual, the character in our story that takes life by the reins and carves out a greater story for ourselves. It's all right here. No matter how frustrated you are, taking responsibility for it, you don't ever want to do it. Just like when somebody's upset, they don't want to stop and take a breath, but that's when you must take the breath the most. No matter how frustrated you are, taking responsibility for it and addressing it as a principle of learning on your path of being the hero in your life, that is where the peace lies. The second you take responsibility for it, then you have something to do about it. And if you're something to go do about it is fight, I've been in a lot of fights, never fixed shit. I mean, I released testosterone and I, you know, felt like I could let that go, but then I had great regret and disappointment and frustration and doubt, and sorrow. Fighting anything attaches ourselves to the frequency of that which we do not desire in our life. It's never the answer. The answer is taking responsibility for the things that you don't feel like are your fault or that you should take responsibility for, because the victim thing of that's not my fault is a lower frequency scenario that keeps you from being able to see that everything in your life is a projection of you. You are magnetic. You are making this place work. You're the energy that this place propels through. You're magic. If you use that magic being frustrated, you're a pawn in a game of fear. If those around you are clearly, unintentionally, a pawn in a game of fear, being frustrated with them will never ever do anything but show you more fear in your life and frustration. It's always the same thing. The second you take responsibility, that is the second that you can let it go. That's the second that you can build yourself greater through this mechanism, whatever the catalyst is. Intention, attention, listen to your belly, not in reaction, but in a natural response for pivoting when required. Hold that intention, hold the attention on the intention. Act on this world with your body in friction. Don't overthink it. Judgment is a low frequency. Sin is incompletion. There's nothing wrong with you. Forgiveness isn't a completion of the entirety of emotion, from a memory to a thought to the projection of a future. Forgive everything. Because if you forgive it, you're not holding on to it anymore. And then go do something. The great thing to do is to allow everyone else inside of you to surprise you with how wonderful they are. And remember that you are God living here. And that you are loved. And you are perfect. So allow this place to show you that. It's a pretty cool test. I love you. Prima Voltus Interior.